Margaret Collins, a dedicated mother, is disinvited from her daughter's wedding via email, with a live stream being the only option. After years of sacrifice, she quietly withdraws, realizing the cost of always being the giver. As the wedding plans unravel, Margaret takes control of her own life, embracing the power of self-respect and independence. Hi everyone, I'm Jessica, the storyteller on the Family Tales channel. Here, I'll share stories about love, conflicts, betrayal, and infidelity within American families. These stories offer a deep look into relationships and the challenges families face. Stay tuned and explore with me. If you love emotional stories and want to uncover the hidden secrets in families, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our videos. I am Margaret Collins. I am 59 years old, a widow, and I reside in a peaceful neighborhood in Oregon. For almost 20 years, I've been an office manager at a law firm, while also raising 2 children. My daughter Emily, who just celebrated her 32nd birthday, and my son Luke, who is 29. Throughout my adult life, I've dedicated myself to ensuring they never faced the same struggles I did. Last Tuesday, an email landed in my inbox that transformed everything. It came from Emily, no subject, just her name lingering in my inbox. I grinned as I prepared to open it, hoping it might be a brief update or a heartfelt message ahead of her special day. We had recently discussed her wedding plans a few weeks back. I had previously contributed $30,000 to assist her in booking the venue, securing a photographer, and reserving the florist she adored since college. However, as soon as I opened the email, my smile disappeared. Mom, the email began with just Mom, like a label, no dear included. Emily shared that she, together with her fiancé Andrew and his family, had completed the guest list for the ceremony in Napa Valley. After careful consideration, they concluded that it would be better for me to experience the wedding through a live stream rather than attending in person. She mentioned that Andrew's mother was specific about the number of guests and preferred to maintain an intimate atmosphere. In the end, she added a line that stung like salt in an open wound. If you're interested in joining, feel free to watch using the Google Meet link we've set up. It'll feel just like you're actually there. Haha, haha, I found myself just staring at that screen for ages. My coffee has gone cold. My hands remained steady. I did not shed a tear. Something within me subtly changed, as if the earth had split apart while I remained upright. I responded with only 4 words, "Sure. Celebrate your special occasion." Silence prevails, with no debate, only a calm retreat. And I understood, deep within, that those 4 words would resonate more powerfully than any shout. I had no desire to engage in conflict. I sought understanding, not sorrow. I hoped the quiet would convey its own message. I shut the laptop, downed my now lukewarm coffee, and prepared for work as if it were just another Tuesday. However, it was not the case. That was the moment I ceased to act as if my sacrifices held any significance for my daughter. That was the moment when everything started to shift. The commute to the office that morning was serene. The early spring air in Oregon carried a lingering chill, yet I hardly paid it any mind. My thoughts kept revolving around the same question: how did we arrive at this point? I have dedicated 18 years to my career at Coldwell Walker Law. It may lack glamour, but it offers stability. What I needed most was stability after my husband passed away unexpectedly while the kids were still in their teenage years. I recall being in front of our old washing machine, bills scattered on the counter, attempting to sort out how to cover both groceries and Emily's upcoming college deposit. At that time, I never hesitated to sacrifice my weekends. I worked additional shifts, postponed vacations, and missed birthdays. I reassured myself that my time would come eventually. There has never been. All the money I saved was spent on Emily and Luke. When Emily switched her major twice and required additional credits, I covered the costs. When she relocated across the country for a brief job opportunity in New York, I took care of her deposit and plane ticket. During her second breakup at 27, I rushed to her side, took her hand, and prepared her tea in a kitchen that felt foreign. When Luke decided to purchase a home with his fiancée, I readily co-signed the mortgage and promptly wrote the initial $10,000 check. I never tracked points. That's what mothers are for, isn't it? That email left me feeling like I was just a transaction, once valuable, but now no longer needed. It felt as though I had a limited time, and that time had run out. Returning to the office, my supervisor Robert came over to my desk. He's one of those exceptional individuals who keeps track of birthdays and knows your coffee preferences. He immediately sensed that something was amiss. "You look like you've seen a ghost," he remarked, placing a latte from the cafe downstairs on my desk. I felt the urge to share it with him. I wanted to share that my daughter just disinvited me from her wedding, but instead I smiled and mentioned that I hadn't slept well. He held back. That little gesture of goodwill, the coffee, the quiet almost broke me. The chaos swirling in my mind that morning served as a reminder of my own existence, that I continued to hold significance, even if it was in a subtle way. At midday, my phone vibrated. Here comes Emily once more. Her name illuminated my screen like an unwanted spotlight. Messages, recordings. "Mom, I really need you to respond. We have to discuss something important, and this isn't a joke. I haven't listened to any of them, not yet." I found myself sitting there, enjoying my latte, contemplating whether it might be time to stop being the one who always responds. Perhaps it's time to step back from being a character in another's narrative when they refuse to share the spotlight with you. That afternoon, I took a step that would change everything for all of us. I had no intention of screaming. I had no intention of pleading. I intended to take action that would be significantly more impactful. I intended to perform. After work, I took a different route. Instead of heading straight home, I made my way to First Federal Bank, just a short distance from the office. Carlos, the branch manager, assisted me with everything from establishing college funds to modifying retirement contributions. He consistently acknowledged me personally. "Mrs. Collins," he said with a smile, rising to extend his hand for a shake. "How may I assist you today?" I took a seat opposite him and set my purse down on the floor. My voice was steady, nearly unnaturally so. "I would like to cancel a wire transfer," I mentioned. He opened and closed his eyes rapidly. "Is it the one for the Napa venue?" "Absolutely, that one." Carlos paused. "There could be a cancellation fee based on the timing, but may I inquire about the reason?" "The situation has shifted," I responded, leaving it at that. He searches for something on his screen. "Fortune smiles upon you. It is still in the processing stage, right on schedule." He took a moment, then raised his gaze to meet mine. "Do you really mean that, Mrs. Collins?" "A sum of $50,000 holds considerable weight." I gave a nod. "I have no doubt, $50,000. That was the sum I intended to send next, in addition to the $30,000 that has already been spent." Total amount, $80,000, for a wedding I was unable to go to. I completed the required paperwork and exited the bank without any hesitation. When I finally arrived home, I noticed there were 9 missed calls from Emily and 2 from Luke. A voicemail just said, "Mom, please refrain from this action." I switched off my phone. In the kitchen, I grabbed the bottle of red wine I had been reserving for Thanksgiving. I didn't open it at that time. Emily had plans to visit, but she backed out at the last moment. "Get to it," she instructed. I filled a glass, stepped out onto the porch, and settled into the dwindling rays of sunlight. Chirping filled the air as birds nestled among the branches. A dog from next door was barking. All was quiet. Suddenly, the memories began to flood in like a tide. I handled all the birthday planning by myself. Every holiday dinner felt like a performance, as I masked the anticipation for a call that never arrived. Every little sacrifice that went unseen. The new shoes I chose not to purchase, the vehicle I operated for 14 years, the trips I delayed. I reflected on Andrew's mother, the woman who hardly knew Emily, yet her perspective seemed to hold more significance than my own. The woman who defined family by leaving out the one person who had supported Emily through every challenging moment of her life. I considered how Emily ended her email with LOL. It felt like a cruel joke to witness your own daughter's wedding from behind a screen. Ultimately, I reflected on my identity, not as a mother, not as a widow, but simply as a woman. What was it that I desired? Tranquility, respect, a life that wasn't centered on being of service to those who appeared only in times of need. At approximately 9 p.m. that evening, the doorbell chimed. I considered overlooking it. However, my curiosity took over. It was Luke, in his office attire, with his tie slightly undone and sleeves pushed up. He appeared uneasy, gripping his phone in one hand as if it were a protective barrier. "Mom," he said, entering the room before I had a chance to respond. "Why is your phone not being answered? Emily is really panicking." I closed the door with a sense of tranquility. "Greetings to you as well." He let out a deep breath, beginning to walk back and forth. "She mentioned that you won't be attending the wedding anymore and that you're causing some trouble." I found it hard to laugh for not going to a wedding I was uninvited from. He moved restlessly. "Andrew's parents are covering the majority of the expenses, Mom. You're aware of their conventional nature." I lifted an eyebrow. "Classic. I have already made a payment of $30,000. I was on the verge of contributing an additional $50,000. That's not a tradition, that's a be out." He stood still. "Hold on, you were sending another $50? I remarked, taking a sip of my wine. "That's no longer the case." Luke's complexion turned ashen. "Mom, they're relying on that. The venue, the food, It's no longer my concern," I stated calmly. His voice elevated. "Clearly, this is your issue. After all, she is your daughter, and I am her mother," I said softly. "A mother instructed to remain at home and observe from a distance." He raked his fingers through his hair, clearly unsettled. "It seems like you often center everything around your own experiences, and that was all there was to it." That was the moment when something within me finally broke free. "Leave my home. What is going on? Listen up, Luke. It's time for you to leave." "Mother, no," I stated, with a balance of firmness and gentleness. "I've poured my heart into this, and I'm finished playing the antagonist in a narrative I crafted with care." Luke paused for a moment, then turned and exited. The door clicked shut softly, yet it resonated like the loudest of slams. I found myself in the center of my living room, my heart racing as I came to a surprising realization. I felt no guilt. I experienced a sense of liberation. The following morning, I found myself staring at 43 missed calls and a barrage of urgent messages from Emily. They began with subtle manipulation and an underlying sense of blame. "Mom, we have something important to discuss. What is the reason behind this action? This is immature." Suddenly, the tone changed. "I just received a call from the venue. The payment was unsuccessful. If we don't make the payment by tomorrow, we risk losing everything. Andrew's parents are livid. They claimed this demonstrates they were correct about you. She sent it at 3:24 a.m. I can't grasp why you're treating me this way." I grinned at my coffee. Naturally, she was confused. Emily had been surrounded by my sacrifices for so long that she never paused to consider the source of her comfort, the protection, the reliability. She simply took it for granted that it would always remain. I would always be present. However, this time is different. Later that morning, as I was going through contracts at my desk, an email appeared in my personal inbox. The headline stated, Kindly refrain from causing any disruptions to my wedding. I approached it with no preconceived notions. Mom, she penned, I understand your frustration regarding the live stream issue, but this is quite serious. We've already lost the venue deposit, and if we don't settle the remaining balance by the end of the day in Paris, the caterer will withdraw their services. Andrew's parents are extremely distressed. It's being suggested that this demonstrates a lack of reasonableness. We really need to discuss your attendance at the ceremony, but it's essential that we secure the funds first. There it stood. They were open to discussing my attendance now that the funds had disappeared. Not a regret. It's not a mirror image. A discussion aimed at reaching an agreement, as if my attendance at my own daughter's wedding could be negotiated, traded, or exchanged based on my mood of generosity. I chose not to reply. I shut the email and redirected my focus to my tasks. At about midday, Robert swung by my desk. He suggested lunch. A new Italian restaurant has just opened its doors. I nearly turned it down, as was my usual habit. Yet, a change stirred within me. Perhaps it was the insight gained from the last day. Perhaps I simply required a place that demanded nothing from me. I gave a nod. I would appreciate that. While enjoying pasta, he shared stories about his grandkids and how tiring yet wonderful it was to keep up with them. His gaze was gentle, authentic. He paused and said softly, "Forgive me, Margaret, but you appear to be in a brighter mood today." I astonished myself. I shared all the details with him, all about Emily, the message, the ceremony, the funds, and what I accomplished. When I was done, he didn't pass judgment, nor did he attempt to change anything. He simply stated, at times the most challenging aspect of love is establishing limits, particularly with those to whom we've extended the greatest generosity. He extended his hand across the table and gave mine a quick squeeze. Your decision seems to be the right one. For the first time in ages, I felt that way too. Upon returning to my desk, I found an increase in calls, additional texts. However, I chose not to respond. I had no need to. For the first time, my silence conveyed so much. That evening, as I drove into my driveway, the sky was beginning to darken. The porch light turned on by itself. Everything appeared calm, even. However, there was a person perched on my front steps. As I approached, I realized who she was. Sophia. She sprang to her feet, flicking away non-existent specks from her coat. Sophia had been Emily's closest companion since the 5th grade. She devoted endless weekends at our place, whipping up cookies, enjoying films, and laughing in sleeping bags until the early hours. It had been years since I last saw her. "Mrs. Collins," she whispered gently. "I apologize for showing up unexpectedly. It's all good," I said as I unlocked the door. "Care for a cup of tea?" She trailed behind me into the kitchen, her gaze sweeping over the well-known walls as if they were filled with memories from the past. I filled the kettle and waited patiently. "Did Emily send you?" I finally inquired. She took her time before responding. "In that case, she's quite the disaster. The venue is no longer available. The florist has withdrawn. Andrew's parents are considering calling off the wedding." I remained silent, setting 2 mugs down on the counter. Sophia went on, expressing her concern about the panic she's feeling. She realizes she made a mistake. She just isn't sure how to make it right. "Is that the reason you're here?" I inquired. "To resolve it?" She shook her head in disbelief. "No, I'm here to inquire if there's anything she might express or do that could alter your perspective." I took a moment to stop. Was there? Would an apology alter the feelings of exclusion, of being treated like a mere bank account, of being informed that you're only welcome when your money is involved? I gazed at Sophia, vibrant and full of dreams. "No," I said softly, "there is not." Her shoulder drooped. Even an apology wouldn't change that. I offered her a steaming mug of tea. "Words come effortlessly, Sophia, particularly in times of desperation. Those who truly care about you won't wait for you to push them away to reach out." Sophia gazed into her tea, her head nodding gently. "Understood," she replied. "Regardless of whether she does or not, I apologize, Mrs. Collins. I said you don't have to be." We paused in quiet reflection, two women from distinct eras united by a single harsh reality. At times, love can reach its boundaries. At times, the sole path to recognition is to step back. Sophia left quickly. She chose not to engage in an argument. She expressed her gratitude, embraced me softly, and then disappeared into the darkness. And I finally shut the door on a version of myself that I had long surpassed. The wedding didn't take place as they had envisioned, after all. They rushed to locate an alternative venue, but everything was either fully booked or prohibitively expensive without the funds I had previously assured. Luke mentioned that they eventually held a small backyard ceremony weeks later, attended by just a few relatives and Andrew's parents. I didn't receive an invitation. This time I found I didn't have to be. In the weeks that came after, Emily dispatched another email, an extended version, heartfelt, partly an apology, partly a justification. I went through it once and then filed it away. I had moved past anger. I was simply finished. A unique tranquility emerges when we release our grip, not through anger, but with a clear mind. After many years, I finally woke up without the weight of others' demands on my mind, not preparing for another guilt trip masked as affection. I established a new guideline for myself. If my presence can be discussed, then so can my level of effort. I head to the office. I enjoy reading novels. I enrolled in a pottery class. I enjoy dinner with friends who appreciate me for who I am, rather than what I can offer them. I've discovered something I really wish I had figured out earlier. There's no need to sacrifice your own comfort for the sake of others. If this story struck a chord with you, pass it along. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. At times, the most powerful form of affection is the one you ultimately extend to yourself. That's it for today's story. If you found it moving, don't forget to share the video with your friends and family. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.